So let's look at a really easy way of marking the end of our breakdown then and creating a nice bit of anticipation that leads really well into our main drop here. And that's by just adding a drum fill. So we're going to do this with Loop Cloud. And the way that I find best to do it is to loop a particular section of the arrangement, like say, maybe a bar that plays the last two beats of this section, so the breakdown, and then the first two beats of the drop. Let's just loop that. Again, that's just selecting the area and then using the keyboard shortcut for loop section, which is Command L. You can see it actually turns it on and off. And then if we switch over to Loop Cloud now and do a search for drum fills, and I'm going to narrow it down to Tech House as well. And if I wanted to, I could also go to the sidebar here and I could set a length, because some of them are probably going to be quite long. So I could bring down the length a bit to maybe 4 seconds or so. That's going to only give me drum fills that are 1 or 2 bars long. And then I could just scroll through all of those. I've actually favorited some though. So if I click on the favorite switch now to add that to my search as well, then I can just listen to these ones I favorited, which I found to be most suitable. And if I click on them now, I can hear the whole thing. So you can listen to them individually like that, and that's all well and good. But alternatively, if I play my arrangement now, and then I play Loop Cloud, we'll be able to hear what the fill is going to sound like in this space here. As it's going to play the last two beats of the fill going into the drop. So let's have a listen to that. So a really cool way there of being able to preview all of these different fills in the context of the track. And don't forget, this is only made possible via the Loop Cloud plugin, which I've added to a MIDI track here in the DAW. And for that reason, the app is now connected to Ableton Live. And that means that when I start and stop my transport, if the Loop Cloud player is playing, so you have play switch active, it will start and stop with the DAW transport, and also the BPM will lock to your project tempo. There's just a couple of reminders there from part 1. So that means all previewing in Loop Cloud is done in time with your project. And the other thing it means actually is that when you drag out processed samples from the player down here, they'll be automatically time stretched to your project tempo. So this isn't actually an issue if you're working in Ableton, which automatically warps samples, so they'll play in time anyway. But if you're working with other music software, then it's good to know, because you'll want to use the processed button down here as opposed to dragging out the original sample from the top. So let's do that. So let's just drag out the processed current track, which is, don't forget, is one of the options when you click on the settings button. And then when we click on that and drag it out, we'll drag out this particular loop at 127 BPM. So it's 126 originally. So we can drag that out now into Live. Actually, before we do that, let's just go back to Live and create another track. We'll just do it at the top here. Color it yellow and name it Drum Fill. And then drag it out onto this track. And if we double click it, although we can see it's actually warped, it doesn't need to be, because it's actually at the correct tempo now. So if we uncheck that, even though it says 126 because that's the original sample name, because we dragged out the processed version, it's been time stretched to the right tempo, so 127. So I can turn off warp now and just play it at its original pitch. So there's no other time stretching going on. And yeah, and put it in the right place actually, which is here. And yeah, let's just turn down the track so it's similar to the other ones, so down by 6 or 7 dB, and just check it out with the rest of our parts. Nice. So that's actually fitting in really well as it is, I think. Other things you could do though, if you wanted to trim that off, you could have it so we're just playing the end. But I quite like it with this little roll beforehand. Goes pretty well. We might want to consider what other sounds are going on. We could, for example, drop out these parts potentially. See, I've turned off the vocal swells actually, but let's... It's nice to have that swell on to lead into that first beat. But yeah, we could drop out all other sounds for sure for this last part. And with the drum sounds, maybe we want to continue some of them on until this part. Maybe at least till that part. So let's see what else we have here, like the shaker. And the percussion maybe. And if you do have any sounds which are maybe being clipped, that one seems okay. Just make sure you've got fades here so we're not getting any clicks on the edge. But I think that's about right. That's now flowing quite well. Nice. So just a simple one to start off then, but a really nice way of creating more excitement at the end of the breakdown as we go into the drop. And later on, we'll look at how to create your own drum fills using Loopcloud. But I thought we'd start off fairly simply with just importing a drum loop. And in the next lesson, we're going to move on to creating your own impacts.